Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for our informational presentation. My name is Megan, and I'm the operations manager here at Pure Processing. And I work directly with departments just like yours every single day to help improve efficiencies, help improve workflows, but also help improve ergonomics in central sterile departments. I decided to call this presentation Finding Your Happy Medium, simply because I think we all find ourselves probably somewhere halfway between this whole situation, right? We're not necessarily not doing any more surgeries, but we have kind of a sense that things are going to come back. But for some of us, maybe that hammer hasn't completely come down yet. So welcome to our new normal is what I like to say. What I'd like to talk about today with you guys are just 4 common stressors that I've heard from other departments that we've talked to over the past couple weeks, where their efficiency might have felt stressed before the pandemic, where their efficiencies could have been improved. And now that we're in this new happy medium, we have an opportunity to improve those efficiencies before we start to see some of the elective surgeries come back. So assessing some of these 4 common areas. And so before I officially begin the presentation, just a quick introduction for those of you who don't know Pure Processing or have never worked with us before. We originally got our start in the decontam side of the department about 10 years ago. And this year was going to be our 10th anniversary in Chicago. So unfortunately, we can't spend it with you in Chicago, but thank you for Isham for having a virtual expo. We're very happy to spend it with you right here, right now. Our focus has always been, how do we make instrument reprocessing more efficient? How do we make it easier? And also, how do we make it safer for you and your team? So from literal pinch points to workflow pinch points, we try and take that process and iron it out and make it a smoother and much more efficient instrument reprocessing department. And so before I get into the meat of the presentation, I did want to share this quick story about a colleague of a coworker here at Pure Processing. Her name is Rhonda Folds, and I felt like Rhonda had a really relevant story, not only to our situation today, but to the situation as a whole. Rhonda was diagnosed in 1998 with Parkinson's symptoms. She was 35 years old, and I think that must have felt like a total bomb. All the chaos and confusion that surrounds that diagnosis, I think a lot of us can understand some of that chaos and confusion we're feeling right now. Rhonda eventually sought help through deep brain stimulation surgery, and she really only came out with a MRSA infection because her battery pack got infected from the surgery. So talking about how relevant our jobs are on a day-to-day basis in central sterile and infection prevention. Because for Rhonda, that MRSA recovery really just made her own personal marathon through this diagnosis just that much harder. But Rhonda had a moment of meditation and reflection, and she thought about, I have to go back to running. This is really going to help me get through this. And I really like this quote by Rhonda here because I think it does a really great job of explaining our current situation, right? She's not going to let her Parkinson's disease run her life. She's going to allow it to take a back seat. It's not going to drive what she does. She's going to use it as an opportunity to drive change for herself. So I ask everybody, as we go through this presentation, right, what's your personal marathon you feel like you're running right now? I think for a lot of us, it's hard to tell how much farther we have left to run, but we know we have to keep running and moving forward. And Rhonda completed her 100th marathon just earlier this year in 2020. So obviously that moment of reflection and meditation for her to figure out what needs to happen, it was effective because it has been, a life-changing experience for her and a life-changing decision. So for Rhonda, although we're all running our own personal marathons, how can we use this situation for good? How can we use this as a motivation to change and be better people in better departments? And so that's really what I wanted this theme of this presentation to be about, because it's really all about change. One way to get through this chaotic environment, though, is simply meditation. I think some of us maybe have downloaded meditation apps or thinking about ways to reduce our stress. And we can absolutely take that principle of meditation and apply it to our professional lives as well. And really, meditation goes by a lot of different definitions, but really at the end of the day, it's just about conscious thinking. It's really thinking deeply about something and make a concerted effort to think about what is really the problem at hand and what am I going to do to fix it. And through that process of meditation, we should be able to do 3 things. We should be able to help create an awareness of our situation. We should also be able to clarify some of that day-to-day chaos we're all feeling right now from a lot of different places and avenues, but also help simplify and clarify that path moving forward. And so through this meditation process, Rhonda was able to figure out what needs to happen. I need to start running again. And that got her connected back to her needs and her goals, and to a point where I think that process of meditation can do a great job for everybody, including us. And so taking that principle even farther, right? Good meditation, it leads to good meditation insights. And those insights help us make good plans, help address the real problems we have at hand in our departments, where we might feel like we're maybe bottlenecked, where efficiency is a little bit dampened in instrument reprocessing. And so based on some meditation insights we've had with our own customers over the past couple of weeks, we've come up with 4 main places where we're starting to see people get stressed, or where they were stressed before their electives started to be reduced. And those areas are inspection, soaking, flushing, and ergonomics. So as your surgeries resume, you may feel like you need to address one of these 4 critical areas, or these 4 stress points in your department, so you know that you have the capacity you need once things start to pick back up to normal. So the first pinch point, or first stressor I want to talk about, is inspection. Now, inspection is very, very broad. It can mean a lot of things in your department and the function of an instrument going through cleaning. But I want to focus on these 3 today, which are having a process in place to inspect your wrap before you sterilize. Is that something you're able to do right now, or is that a capacity you need in the future? Having assembly tables that are going to be efficient and organized, that absolutely has a part to play in inspection. And also having more QC systems in practice for identifying bioburden and damage before you take things into the assembly department. And so looking at that first insight, right, the inspection of wrap, how can I help better enable QC programs and storage programs in my department? Well, I can do that by using lighted tables, for example. If you have consistent issues with your wrap, with punctures, with damage and sterile storage, where are those issues occurring? Are they happening when you take things to sterile storage? Are they happening beforehand? To have an inspection method in place, making sure your wraps are of high quality, sound construction before things go through the sterilizer, it can eliminate a lot of wasted time you might spend in improving one area of your department over another. So again, you don't have to also invest in a full renovation to make this possible. There are many options available on the market right now that you can put these lighted table inspection options quickly into your department. That capacity does not have to go through a full renovation to make it happen. Have a mini table and put it into your existing space and existing workflow. So there are a lot of quick options to make technology like this available to you. Same thing with lighted tables. If you don't have lighted tables, you might be doing this. Holding your wrap up to the light, you might try to identify some of those tears and punctures against the light on your ceiling. It's a really effective method. I think we can all agree some of our lights don't have the lumen intensity to do that. But ergonomically, there are benefits to this too. I mean, this is just really against direct conflict with OSHA recommendations, especially on your shoulders and your arms. And also, when you think about this, you have much bigger wrap sizes. That wrap can drag on the floor, it can get dropped, it can get snagged. So I would not call this a best practice. So lighted tables also help improve this process overall. Tables and organization is another critical element that can kind of get away from us sometimes. It can really make or break a department. So organization might be something you want to consider improving now before your tables get completely inundated with wrapping and assembly. It's pretty clear that good organization supplements good efficiency. So it's easy to evaluate it the other way around as well. Bad organizations, tables that are left to get into a mess, they definitely can result in people walking around your department looking for missing items, wandering to assemble a complete tray. Maybe they're grabbing the wrong items, things are getting lost. It's obviously lost efficiency when that has to happen on a day-to-day. Think also a little bit about your equipment and your tables. How easy is it for you to add new powered equipment to your tables? There's a lot of powered stuff being used at your tables right now. Computers, sealers, magnifier lights. Do you have enough electrical? Are you going to wait around? If you have QC systems to put in place, new equipment to add to your tables, you're going to wait around for electrical. It's not really ideal. That's absolutely lost efficiency. So ask yourself, if you are considering new tables or you want to improve your tables, do I have the electrical that I need in order to add or move those processes around? Also, just again, having no room to organize things at one table means that disorganization just gets transferred to all your other tables. You may have just one well-organized station in your department right now, and you don't want that to turn into a mess because another station got messy. So again, thinking about your organization at your tables now before they're inundated could be something you want to improve, especially before electives resume. Borescopes are another fantastic avenue for instrument reprocessing staff to feel and get a handle on your overall cleaning quality. I love borescope technologies. If you don't have them already, you should consider having them. What I think borescopes are really great for are providing tools for you to gather data. And as we all know, good data helps us drive good plans and good results. Now, borescopes are a lot of things that they can help you with, but I'm going to focus on just these 2, which are bioburden and instrument damage. Bioburden might be a little bit obvious. I'm obviously looking for bioburden in my channels, but when you do find that, what is your plan to address that bioburden issue? Having borescope technology and finding that information can really drive more concentrated QC initiatives in your department. Think about your enzymatics. If you're continuously finding a specific type of bioburden, am I using the right enzymes? Am I diluting? Am I using it within temperature range? How about my brushes? Am I flushing my lumens more effectively? Do I need to do it more effectively? So absolutely, bioburden deposits in lumens can help guide QC improvement programs. Instrument damage as well. You could possibly find instrument damage in your channels, and that can also be triggered by poor cleaning and a number of different things, but also take that beyond just finding damage. What do you do once you have that damage? Can you verify your equipment repair vendors? How do those repairs possibly affect my internal lumens? Is it easy to clean around those repairs? So these are just two possible ways that borescopes can be helpful for you now that you might want to integrate into your departments so you have some QC initiatives in place once things get back to normal. Another common stressor I see very, very common is robotic soaking. Robotics have really enabled us to provide better healthcare, but a lot of that stress for robotics got transferred down to sterile processing. It's really hard to soak and clean those instruments, sometimes properly. I'm going to focus on robotics, but scopes as well, especially with delayed reprocessing and pre-soaking requirements, can really also become difficult for some departments. I'd like to ask everybody to start thinking about your sink basins as indispensable tools. They really are. Ask yourself, right, if you could give up just one basin, would you be worse off for it? If you are, then that basin is a critical tool for you and your team. Sink basins are also hard to replicate, right? You can only do certain tasks at certain basins. So think about how you're prioritizing your basin space. If you're stressed with robotic soaking, think about how you might be able to still prioritize your sink basin space, but still be able to soak your robots for that 30-minute soak. And one option to do that is through mobile carts. Mobile carts are a good, quick fix for soaking troubles, and I think they offer a number of key benefits, right? If you do have a limited amount of sink basin space, and maybe your robots don't even fit in your sink basins, that's another big problem. Mobile carts can provide an option to free up that sink basin space. You're not reducing the bandwidth at your sinks for reprocessing, and that mobility factor also makes it easier to push those carts away when they're not in use. There are mobile cart options that have vertical storage option, for example. So if you have a small footprint and a mobile cart already might be too big, think about vertically stacked or tiered carts. They tend to have smaller footprints. Also think about container storage. If you don't like using mobile carts, but you have a lot of soaking containers, how do you store those containers? Do you actually have a place where you're putting them, keeping them from getting damaged, or are you throwing them under the sink or to the side? Also, if you're looking at mobile carts, question, how are my accessories going to be organized at my mobile cart if I have them? Some mobile carts don't let you do that. Explore options that are going to allow you to mount timers, dosing pumps, enzymatic solution right then and there where you're actually going to be doing your soaking. Why walk around the department to get that? In a situation where you actually need the capacity that a sink basin would offer, there are options out there for hard plumb sinks, single basin sinks, where you can reprocess your robotic instruments efficiently and soak your robotics. Consider the following though, if you are looking for a hard plumb sink to implement into your department. Maybe you have a robotics system coming up, maybe you have an increase in robotic surgeries now. Ergonomically ask yourself, is this sink going to be up to spec with the rest of the sinks in my department? How can I get more ergonomic benefits out of this sink than just height adjustability? Height adjustability is a fantastic feature on sinks, but you can push the envelope here a little bit. What else are my vendors doing to consider ergonomics outside of height adjustability? Ask those questions when you look at sinks. Accessories take a good sink and can turn it bad really fast. I've seen it. I'm sure you could think of a sink or two like that. It's got too much stuff on it, too much wiring. Think about it, that new sink. How are you going to mount your accessories? How are you going to organize your power? And again, back to that issue about electrical and power. Think about electrical is another place where a lot of sinks fall short. If you're going to get a new sink, is it going to give you the capacity you need to add more equipment in the future, to be flexible? You're going to have to wait on power, or does your sink include additional power outlets? So don't let those things delay future growth if you are considering a new sink for soaking. Flushing is another common place I see people get bottlenecked. And these insights, when we talk to customers, right, some of the things we hear very frequently are I need a system in place so everybody flushes the same way every single time. But also manually flushing just isn't efficient, right? Who is actually syringe flushing at the sink and thinks that that is the most efficient process for me and my lumens? It's not. And sometimes this can be intimidating. Consistency and efficiency are hard to improve hand in hand sometimes, but it is doable. There are automated methods out there that allow you to flush, get lumen flushing, consistency, and efficiency at the same time. Instruments continue to become more and more complex in the modern sterile processing department, but the way we flush continues to stay the same. It's strange, right? Syringes and spray guns are really inefficient methods. They just don't keep up with the complex IFU demands that we have from instruments like flexible scopes and robotics. Traditional methods of flushing, like syringes and spray guns, they have a lot of hidden damages and dangers. With syringes and spray guns, you're only flushing one lumen at a time. That's really not an efficient process. It's a slow, laborious task to have to flush all those lumens. With robotics, you have 2 lumens. How do you know that you're flushing every single lumen every single time? Syringe flushing is also ergonomically very painful. That stress of pulling and plunging that syringe, it has to go somewhere. Very often, it goes straight into your wrists. Also, when you are using a syringe or spray gun for flushing, everybody's doing it a different way every single time. You might approach the sink on day 1 and do it one way, and day 2 you do it a different way. You can pick up a different syringe size. You might not flush every single channel in that tray. So syringes really are not the most effective way for pre-cleaning your lumens anymore. Automated irrigators are available right now to help increase throughput and efficiency at the basin. Automated irrigators are one option, and they are readily available for SPD. Our Flexi Pump system, for example, it's going to allow you to flush multiple instruments at once, flush 3 lumens at one time instead of just once, increase some throughput, increase the efficiency at the sink basin. There's also flexibility to flush a wide variety of lumens. You can flush robotics, you can flush flexible scopes, ocular instruments, right? You don't have to focus on just one specialty. You can get all your specialties through one system and standardize. Everyone flushes the same way with automated irrigators. You get consistent volumes, speeds, and pressures every single time. It makes following your IFUs just a little bit easier. And also, automated irrigators are hands-free, so that ergonomic pain is reduced considerably. All you have to do is hook up your lumens and you can flush. So you're able to work on other things as well while the pump is running. You get a little bit more efficiency there as well. So it is a great solution if you are trapped at the sink. You're not getting as much throughput when you're flushing your lumens. And finally, the last stressor I want to talk about today is ergonomics. I see a lot of challenges with ergonomics, and it's a big word, but it does not have to mean big projects. A lot of people think if I want to improve ergonomics, I need new equipment. If you're not in a place to get new equipment right now, there are simple fixes that can have significant impact for you and your teammates in the department. And the 2 I want to focus on today are deep sink basins and anti-fatigue mats. Again, there are simple fixes that can be long-lasting and really improve the ergonomic conditions in decontam. So I love these photos. Tell me if this isn't a department you've seen or if this is your department right now, right? Unnecessarily deep sinks are a bit of a double-edged sword, right? You need them, but most of the time you probably don't. They really just cause unnecessary back pain, high levels of discomfort. The bending at the sink, that does not have to be a reality moving forward. And these makeshift basins that you see in a lot of these photos, they don't work with instruments. They don't consider the specialty things you need to think about when you're reprocessing instruments like enzymatics, draining. These are very hard to drain. They just do not consider the specialties of the tasks that you do in central sterile. Sink inserts are available. Sink inserts are a fantastic option for relieving those deep sinks. If you have deep sinks, you don't have to suffer with them. Sink inserts fit the vast majority of the sinks in sterile processing departments today. They can be custom. Drop it into your sink. And when you have one person who doesn't need it and one person that does, you can easily take it in and out for whoever needs it, wherever that relief comes from. Sink inserts are also very easy to clean. They can be car washer safe. And they also have, and most importantly, built-in accessories in them to make maintaining and working with instruments much easier. Think about enzymatic chemistries. You need to make sure they're within temperature range. Did I dilute them properly? Are you getting those features out of the built-in basins that you have now? And inserts can also be a fantastic option for separating specific instrument reprocessing as separate basins. You think about ocular instruments, which have to be separated out from your regular specialties. Sink inserts do a fantastic job doing that. So if you have eye challenges reprocessing your eyes or separating them, this could be another fantastic option for that. Maybe you want to have an insert that has a built-in light into it. That will also help enable you and get better leak testing if you're doing flexible scopes. So sink inserts can be very flexible, and they can also address that deep sink that you see very common in sterile processing department. You have to live with that sink. Finally, I want to make a quick note about anti-fatigue mats, and I laugh because I see a lot of different types of anti-fatigue mats in departments, and this should be really easy, no-brainer, right? You put a mat in front of your sink and it helps you. It relieves pain, but a lot of times it's not the case. So if you are thinking about replacing your anti-fatigue mats, I encourage you to think about a couple things. Are they easy to clean? A lot of people prefer to have perforated mats. If you do, consider how you're cleaning. Are you just spraying or are you just mopping those mats? It's really not an effective way to clean perforated mats. There are anti-fatigue mat options that are cart washer safe, and those are especially nice in decontam departments. Also consider standardizing your anti-fatigue mats. There are mats that are good in both decontam and assembly, break rooms and locker rooms. It makes replacing and swapping your anti-fatigue mats much easier when you have to. And also, I think, ask yourself, can my mats do more than just be mats? Can they be a training tool? And I say, yes, absolutely, they can. Consider a workflow mats. There are mats out there now where you can have an anti-fatigue mat in front of every sink basin in your decontam that tells you to wash, rinse, and final rinse. Make it foolproof. Set reminders for people. You have new staff, help teach them about workflow and central sterile. Don't make them think about it. Workflow mats, I think, enhance what anti-fatigue mats can do in your department, and really offer more compliance in a place you didn't think you had to think about it. So a lot of quick fixes you can apply in your department now to increase ergonomics. So I actually do have a bit of a homework assignment for everybody, and hopefully these are helpful assignments. So definitely number one, try as you might every single day to take some time to think deeply on what needs to happen in your department. Meditate on some of the issues that you're dealing with, because I think that meditation process does a great job of clarifying all this noise and confusion that might be surrounding those issues. If it's a big project, think about how do I break it down and how do I make improvements more bite-sized. Again, not everything has to be about swapping out all your equipment. There are applications and products in place now where you can make small improvements and take it step by step. Meditation is a fantastic way to find those resolutions. Utilize the resources that Isham provides. Absolutely, I love the online buyer's guide from Isham. I send people there all the time. If you are considering swapping out equipment or doing product evaluations, Isham's online buyer guide does a great job of providing that for you. And also, if you're not part of your local chapter, why not go out and connect with your local chapter? They do a great job of not only providing education, but providing you with vendors and network connections. Also, check with your local vendors. How are they providing services to you right now? Are they doing things virtually? Are they offering CE programs? A lot of vendors have been very flexible in this period to be able to provide you with new resources that weren't available before. And finally, I think a lot of us, this presentation was really focused on equipment and workflow, but for a lot of us, we're also going to have people problems. And so while we didn't talk about those things during this presentation, consider, especially if you bring on new equipment, cross-training some of your employees. If you can't cross-train your teammates, have other people cross-train each other, because those utilitarian players may be a necessity moving forward. It's going to make your team much more flexible as things change over time. As a quick wrap up, I want to return back to Rhonda's story, because I know we all feel like we're running our own personal marathon right now. I think 2020 feels like a marathon overall, and it's kind of hard to tell how far along the path we really, really are. But like Rhonda, right, if we take a concerted effort to just stop about the situation, think, and to breathe and to meditate on these potential issues that we have in our department now, or we had before, and think about what is my running plan going to be over the next couple of weeks to make sure I'm in full form for when my department returns with that backlog of surgeries. What can I do now? How can I take these challenges head on? And in the end, I think, all these marathons, they make us stronger, they make us smarter. Rhonda has been running for the Davis Finney Foundation. So her personal marathon now helps other people improve the lives of others. She took that bad situation, she flipped it around, she became a stronger and smarter person. And a lot of us in Central Sterile, that's us. Our roles support the rest of the hospital. And at the end of the day, it does make us smarter, stronger people. And I'm very excited to meet the Central Sterile department that crosses that finish line in the end, and to learn from everybody else and from each other and improve in the meantime. So with that being said, I'd love to take any questions or comments we have about some of the content we talked about today. We do have 2 places where you can submit your questions. If you want to go ahead and just email your questions to us, there is that purple box on the right-hand side. You can send in your questions, they'll get directed right back to me, and we'll be able to give you more information. And we also have a chat box down below. If you have questions, you're welcome to just type them in there, and our moderator will be able to answer them right then and there in real time. And finally, just as a quick note, if you haven't already done so, please confirm your attendance by hitting that green bar on the right-hand side of your screen above where you would submit your questions to me. We would very much appreciate it. So thank you so much again for participating and listening in on our session. I know we have a brand new normal, but I think if we all embrace it, we're going to be very surprised about, the people that we can be in the departments we can come out at the other end. So thank you so much again. Let's go ahead and see if we have any questions. So again, thank you guys so much. It looks like we don't have any questions. If you do, go ahead and just type them in, and our moderator will be able to take them, or as well send them in that chat box. So thank you so much again. You guys have a wonderful rest of your virtual ISHM, and we very much appreciate the time.